Today I thought I saw a ghost. I was sitting in my sitting room and I looked out my window. And I got a fright, a shock, when I saw an old friend of mine who had died many years ago walking his dog. Couldn't believe my eyes. But as I gathered myself, I realized it was not him. It was someone else who looked very like him. I was relieved because it did scare me. Now, this is not the first time I've seen a ghost. Many years ago, during the French festival in Portarlington, a famous festival in Portarlington, I was working as a barman in the Barra Lodge. And I was sitting out in the front bar with a couple of regulars. And we were discussing the French festival. I think it was the second day, it was during the day. One of them said to me, "You remember that Frenchman that was in here a couple of nights ago?" And I did kind of recall a Frenchman, but I wasn't too sure. And he said, he was found dead this morning. And I was kind of shocked because I had got a strange feeling about that man that had been in the few nights before, that Frenchman. He was a peculiar kind of fellow, flamboyant. And not the kind of guy you would see in Portarlington. I couldn't quite make out his accent. He seemed very well travelled, but he was probably in his mid-50s. He wore a long black turtleneck with many gold chains, and his fingers were full of rings. He reminded me of a type of Irishman who may have travelled across the seas in the 70s to England and became a free thinker, and then when they returned to Ireland, it may never really have been the same again. Anyway, as the night went on, this guy became drunk and he was quite outspoken and kind of confrontational, let's say. Anyway, the more drink he had, it became obvious that I had to stop serving him alcohol because it was doing him no favours. He left rather annoyed and went down to town. Anyway, the night went on and I finished up my shift and I said, well, it is the French festival, how about I partake in some of the festives? And I went down to town to the famous market square where there was music on. People were enjoying the festives. There was live bands, drink and food. It was wonderful. Anyway, I remember there was 80s music playing. And me and my friends were standing around having a couple of drinks. And one of them pinted over. And there it was, the Frenchman, dancing. The most peculiar dancing you've ever seen in your life. Like a bird doing a mating call. Or maybe a vulture, like a bird of prey. It's going up and down, bending real low, down to the ground. We all thought it was funny at the time, but it was also quite unsettling. Anyway, he danced there alone all night long. So that was the Frenchman who had died. I was quite saddened by it, but I went on working the shift in the Barra Lodge, and at the time there was a front bar and a back bar. Most people drank in the back bar. Very rarely you would have anyone in the front bar, but if you did, they would ring a bell. So as I was down the back in the back bar, I heard this bell ringing. And it was very busy during the French festival, so no one would be in the front bar ever. So I walked up, and who was standing at the bar? Only the dead Frenchman. And he said to me, "Give me a pint of Carlsberg and a packet of John Player Blue." Startled for a moment, I realised that I had mixed up who they were talking about, for this man was not dead at all. And I went and got him his pint, and he kind of did the same thing again, but it was a lesson about how easily we can be assumed dead and buried, and you never really know if someone's truly gone.